Have you ever felt like your mind is stuck on the same track, repeating the same worries, even when you know they are not helping? Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to force peace, the more your thoughts tighten, as if the mind resists being pushed? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are entering a space where words become less important and listening becomes the teaching. Tibetan Zen sounds, whether they come from bowls, chants, low drones, bells, or slow rhythmic tone, often feel like they bypass the busy part of the brain and speak directly to the nervous system. But I do not want to treat this as a magical shortcut. I want to treat it as a doorway into awakening. Wisdom, cause and effect, practice, and destiny. Because sound can soothe, yes, but sound can also reveal. It can show you what you have been carrying. It can show you how tightly you have been holding life. And it can teach you how to release without running away. Let me tell you a story about a person who thought they had mental blocks, but slowly discovered that the block was not a wall made of stone. It was a knot made of habits. In a city where the nights were long and the days were faster than anyone could fully digest, there lived a young adult named Mira. Mira was capable, even impressive, the kind of person who could get things done while smiling. People assumed Mira was confident, but inside, Mira carried a strange heaviness that never fully lifted. It felt like walking with a backpack that nobody else could see. Mira called it mental blocks because that was the easiest name. When Mira tried to study, the mind fogged. When Mira tried to work, the mind scattered. When Mira tried to rest, the mind raced. When Mira tried to feel joy, a shadow of sadness arrived like a familiar guest that refused to leave. At first, Mira treated this like a personal failure. The inner voice became harsh and demanding. You should be stronger. You should focus like other people. You should stop being dramatic. You should stop feeling this way. But the harder Mira pushed, the more the mind rebelled. And the rebellion did not look like laziness. It looked like tension, insomnia, tight shoulders, headaches, stomach discomfort, and a low-level panic that never became a full storm, but never became calm either. One evening, Mira sat on the edge of the bed and admitted something that felt like defeat, but was actually the beginning of awakening. I cannot think my way out of this. That sentence mattered. Because many people think wisdom is more thinking, more analysis, more planning. But sometimes wisdom is recognizing that the mind is overworking itself like a machine running without rest. And when a machine runs too long, it overheats. The solution is not more speed. The solution is cooling. A friend noticed Mira growing quieter and asked what was wrong. Mira hesitated, then confessed, I feel blocked. I feel anxious all the time. I feel like I cannot breathe deeply. I do not know why. The friend did not offer a long speech. The friend simply sent a recording of Tibetan-style sound. Slow and spacious, the message said. Try listening with headphones tonight. Not to fix yourself, just to listen. Mira almost ignored it. Mira wanted solutions, not sound. But desperation makes people open. So Mira lay down, put on headphones, and pressed play. At first nothing happened. The mind kept talking. You are wasting time. This will not help. You should be doing something productive. This is childish. But the sound continued. Steady, patient. A low tone that did not demand attention but gently invited it. A bell like a drop of light into dark water. I hum. That felt like air moving through stone. Then something subtle happened. Mira noticed the body exhale. Not a forced exhale, not a dramatic relief, just a natural letting go. The shoulders softened slightly. The jaw loosened slightly. The chest felt a little more spacious. Mira did not become happy. Mira simply became less clenched. And for someone who had been clenched for months, that small change felt like a miracle. Mira listened again the next night. And the next. Each time, the sound did something unusual. It did not silence thoughts completely, but it changed the relationship with thoughts. Thoughts felt farther away, like conversations happening in another room. The mind still produced worry, but the worry no longer felt like a commander. It felt like noise. Mira started becoming curious. Why does this work? So Mira searched for explanation. Some people said it was vibration. Some said it was frequency. Some said it was ancient healing. Some said it was placebo. Mira did not know what to believe. But Mira noticed something that mattered more than belief. When I listen, my body relaxes. When my body relaxes, my mind becomes less cruel. This is cause and effect. The mind and body are not separate kingdoms. They influence each other constantly. A tense body feeds a tense mind. A tense mind feeds a tense body. Sound can break the loop by giving the nervous system a new rhythm to follow. The sound becomes a guide rope, not because the sound is holy, but because your attention becomes anchored. After a week, Mira went to a small meditation center. Not a grand place, just a room where people sit quietly and practiced. Mira met an older practitioner named Tenzin who had spent years working with sound and meditation. Tenzin did not speak like a salesman. Tenzin spoke like someone who had watched many minds struggle and soften. Mira asked, "Can sound eliminate mental blocks?" Tenzin smiled gently. Sound can reveal the block. Sound can soften the block. But the deepest elimination happens when you stop rebuilding the block every day. Mira frowned. Rebuilding? Tenzin asked. When you say mental block, what do you imagine? Mira said, something inside me that stops me from being normal. Tenzin nodded. That image is already part of the block. If you treat your mind as broken, you create fear. If you create fear, you create tension. If you create tension, you reduce clarity. Then you call the result a block. This is how suffering multiplies. Mira felt a sting of truth. 10. And continued. In Buddhism, we talk about ignorance and clinging. Ignorance is not stupidity. Ignorance is not seeing clearly. Clinging is holding experience too tightly. A mental block often forms when the mind is clinging to an image of how you should be. You should be calm. You should be strong. You should be focused. You should be happy. You should not feel pain. The mind fights reality, and that fight becomes the block. Mira asked, so what does sound do? Tenzin answered, sound gives your attention a cleaner object than your stories. It is difficult to argue with a bell. It is difficult to negotiate with a tone. The mind can still talk, but the sound does not debate. It simply arrives and fades. When you listen, you practice impermanence. You practice letting things arise and pass without grabbing them. That is wisdom training. Mira said quietly. The phrase letting things arise and pass felt like a key. Mira realized that anxiety was not only fear of the future. Anxiety was also the inability to let thoughts pass. Mira grabbed thoughts and squeezed them until they became pain. Tenzin asked Mira to sit and listen to a simple bull tone. Mira closed the eyes. The tone began, spreading like a slow ripple. Mira noticed an immediate urge to judge it. This is too slow. This is boring. This is not working. Tenzin whispered. Notice the judging. Do not fight it. Return to listening. Mira returned. The tone rose and faded. Then another tone. Then silence. Then another tone. Mira noticed that the mind kept trying to interfere, but the sound kept returning. The sound did not punish the mind. It simply offered a steady invitation back to the present. This is compassion in practice. Compassion is not only how you treat other people. Compassion is how you treat your own wandering mind. You can either insult it for wandering, or you can guide it back gently. The sound made gentle guidance easier. After the session, Mira said something unexpected. I feel sad. Tenzin nodded. Of course, when the nervous system relaxes, what you have been holding down can rise safely. Many people call that a block, but often, it is a locked room of feelings. Sound does not only relax you, it gives you enough safety to feel what you avoided. Mira felt tears rise. Not dramatic, just quiet. Tenzin said, "Let the tears be form. Let them be real. And also remember emptiness. The tears are not your identity. They are conditions passing through. This is the balance of wisdom. You do not deny emotion, but you also do not become swallowed by it." Mira asked, "Is that why sound helps anxiety and depression?" Tenzin answered carefully, "Anxiety and depression have many causes, but many people with anxiety live in the future, and many people with depression live in the past. Sound pulls you into the present, not by force, but by invitation. It reminds the body that right now, in this breath, you are still alive. That is not a cure for everything, but it is a powerful starting point." Mira continued practicing at home. But now Mira practiced differently, not as entertainment, as training. Each night Mira lay down and listened. When thoughts came, Mira did not chase them. Mira labeled them softly: worry, memory, planning, judgment. Then returned to listening. The bell, the hum, the space between tones. Over time Mira began to notice specific patterns. There was a certain kind of thought that always appeared when the sound became quiet. The thought was, "What if you never get better?" Mira recognized it as a fear story. The mind was trying to protect itself by predicting the worst. Mira did not argue. Mira did not try to prove it wrong. Mira simply returned to listening. That is a major step in awakening. Awakening is when you stop treating every thought as truth. Wisdom is when you stop obeying fear just because it is loud. Practice is returning again and again. Destiny is shaped by what you repeatedly return to. Then life tested Mira with something real. A deadline approached at work. In the past, Mira would panic. Mira would stay up late, drink too much caffeine, scroll endlessly when overwhelmed, then hate the self for losing time. The cycle would tighten. This time, Mira used sound as a bridge. Mira took 10 minutes in the afternoon, put on the recording, and listened. The mind still worried about the deadline, but the body softened. When the body softened, the mind could think more clearly. Mira returned to work and did one task at a time. The deadline was still stressful, but stress did not become catastrophe. That is a transformation of karma. The same external event, a deadline, produced a different inner destiny. Because the mind had a new habit. Mira also noticed something else. The more calm Mira became, the more sensitive Mira became to other people's suffering. Not in a draining way, but in a compassionate way. Mira stopped snapping at coworkers. Mira listened more. Mira apologized faster when wrong. Mira stopped treating every conflict as a threat. That compassion improved relationships. And improved relationships reduced stress. Again, cause and effect. One night Mira asked Tenzin a deep question. "If sound can calm me, why do I still have bad days?" Tenzin smiled. Because practice is not a switch. Practice is a path. Even wise people have weather. The goal is not to eliminate all waves. The goal is to learn how to ride waves without drowning. Sound helps you remember the board. Mira laughed quietly. That image felt right. Tenzin offered one more teaching that became essential. Do not use sound to avoid your life. Use sound to meet your life with a clearer mind. This matters. Some people use spiritual music to numb. They press play and try to escape feelings. That can become another form of clinging. The sound becomes a drug. But the Buddhist approach is different. You use sound to strengthen awareness. Then you bring that awareness into daily action. Mira began doing that. While cooking, Mira listened lightly in the background and practiced being present with chopping vegetables, feeling water, smelling steam. While commuting, Mira listened and practiced softening the shoulders. While talking with family, Mira practiced listening the way Mira listened to sound, patiently, without interrupting, allowing pauses. Slowly, the mental block that once felt like a wall began to feel more like a knot that could be untied. Not quickly, not perfectly, but steadily. Mira also began understanding depression in a new way. Depression was not only sadness. It was also collapse after years of fighting. It was exhaustion of the will. Mira had been using willpower to push away fear and pain, but pain pushed back. Eventually the will ran out. Sound taught Mira a new strategy. Stop pushing. Start holding. Holding does not mean clinging. Holding means allowing experience to exist without judgment. Allowing sadness to be present without adding a story that it will last forever. Allowing anxiety to be present without calling it failure. Allowing the mind to wander without hating it. That kindness reduced the internal war. And when war reduces, the mind has energy to heal. Mira asked, "So are Tibetan Zen sounds special?" Tenzin answered, "Any sound can be a teacher if you listen correctly. A bell, rain, even your own breath. But certain traditional sounds are designed to support meditation. They are slow, spacious, simple. They encourage attention and release. They remind you of impermanence. They remind you of stillness." Mira nodded. The special part was not magic. The special part was the practice of listening. Over months, Mira's life changed in ways that felt ordinary but were actually profound. Sleep improved. Appetite stabilized. The mind became less cruel. Work became more manageable. Relationships softened. Mira was still human. Still faced difficulties. Still had anxious days. But Mira no longer believed that anxiety was destiny. That is the key message tonight. A mental block is not always an enemy. Sometimes it is a signal. It is the mind saying, "You have been carrying too much. You have been living too fast. You have been believing every thought. You have been clinging to control. You have been fighting reality. You have been neglecting compassion." Sound can be the moment you finally hear that signal clearly. Now I want to speak to you personally, because you might be listening while hoping for relief from stress or depression. If you use Tibetan Zen sounds tonight, try this approach. Do not demand that the sound fix you. Simply listen. Notice what changes in your body. Notice where you hold tension. Notice the urge to judge. Notice the stories that appear. Then return to listening. If tears come, let them come. If fear comes, let it come. If boredom comes, let it come. Everything that comes is part of your conditioned mind. When you allow it and return, you are practicing awakening. And if you want to go deeper, add one simple intention. May this listening reduce suffering in me, so I can reduce suffering in others. This turns relaxation into compassion. This turns sound into practice. This turns a calm moment into a shift in karma. Because karma is what you repeatedly feed. If you repeatedly feed frantic thinking, you build a frantic destiny. If you repeatedly feed presence, you build a steady destiny. Sound can help you choose what you feed. I will end with a reflection that many people need to hear. You are not broken because your mind is loud. You are not weak because you struggle to focus. You are not hopeless because you have anxiety or depression. These are conditioned. They arise from causes. And if causes can be created, causes can be changed. The path is not instant. The path is patient. The path is gentle. The path is repetition. Listen, return, breathe, release. Thank you for being here with me tonight. Share in the comments what you feel when you listen to these sounds, and what kind of mental block you want to soften. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and stay connected with this community, because none of us are meant to practice alone. Until next time, keep listening, keep practicing, keep choosing compassion, and let your destiny become lighter one breath at a time.